Automatically when the air pressure falls. The explosion, the sudden loss of pressure in the cabin. There must be a hole in the aircraft.
Gear door. Gear. Gear. What? Gear. Gear.
The pilot's first thought is that the landing gear doors have blown off.
Squawk 77.
7700 is the emergency code. When the crew radios this code to the ground, air traffic control will know the plane is in trouble. Every plane on the controller's screen carries a label giving the plane's identity. Suddenly, the label beneath Flight 123 changes. Someone in the cockpit has keyed in the emergency signal. The plane's crew members are baffled. They know only that there's been a loud noise, some sort of explosion, a subsequent drop in cabin pressure, and a growing loss of control. Yet their instruments offer no clues to the mystery.
Engines. All engines okay.
Ominously, the pilots can't get the plane to respond.
It's dropping. Right turn. Right turn. Hydraulic pressure. It's dropping.
The plane's flight controls are powered by hydraulic pressure. The elevator, which makes the plane go up and down, the rudder and ailerons, which make it turn. On a big modern jet, all these are too heavy to operate with cables and levers. Instead, they're controlled by hydraulic fluid, which flows in pipes around the aircraft. It's the lifeblood of the plane.
Tokyo, Japan Air 123, request immediate.
Trouble. Request return back to Haneda. Over.
Roger, approved as you request. Turn right at heading 090.
Don't bang so much. Yes.
Crew members, please help us with the oxygen bubbles. Repair the oxygen bubbles, please.
Don't bang so much. Turn it back. It won't go back.
Nothing seems to be working. All the controls are dead. They're 7,300 meters up in the air, traveling at nearly 540 kilometers an hour, and unable to control the plane. In the growing uncertainty of the situation, the pilots know they need to get down fast. The controller is puzzled. Instead of making the anticipated 180-degree turn back to the airport, the plane now veers off its course, but not towards Haneda.
No, 123. Negative. Please confirm that you are declaring emergency. That's right?
That's affirmative.
Request the nature of your emergency.
Hydraulic pressure all lost.
All lost?
No. Look.
All lost.
Yes.
The company, please, make a request to the company, please.
You want to make a fuss?
The crew seem paralyzed and don't radio the airline or answer the tower. The officials on the ground don't know that the plane has lost its hydraulic power, but their screens tell them it's flying erratically and is possibly out of control.
Right turn, descend.
Look at his altitude. Up and down, up and down.
But now, on control. Put your heart into it or it's stop.
The hydraulics failure has caused a serious problem. For the last few minutes, the plane has begun flying in an alarming pattern. First, it climbs steeply, then tips over and goes into a terrifying dive of 1,200 meters, only to level off and begin to climb again. This repeats itself over and over again. The pilots cannot understand this bizarre behavior, and they are powerless to stop it. Tokyo Area Control, August the 12th, 1985. The controller receives an emergency signal from a jumbo jet that left Haneda Airport 13 minutes ago.
Tokyo, Japan Air 123, request immediate.
Trouble. Request return back to Haneda. Over.
In the cabin, confusion and panic spread like wildfire. There's been an explosion, and now some passengers are gasping for air.
Please.
hydraulic pressure has dropped!
The plane's precious hydraulic fluid is gone. That's why the flight controls aren't working properly.
Don't bang so much. Turn it back. It won't go back.
Airline personnel are trained to take charge in a crisis, and passenger Yumi Ochiai helps out even though off duty. At Tokyo Control, the controller is now joined by his supervisor.
JAL 123, he's declared an emergency. Says it's uncontrollable. He says he wants to go back to Haneda, but his heading is all wrong. He can't seem to turn.
Get him to Nagoya. That'll be the easiest. It's a straight line.
The best solution would be for the plane to switch course to Nagoya Airport, which is 128 kilometers straight ahead. But they'd need to start descending immediately if they're going to land there.
Right, your position 72 miles to Nagoya. Can you land at Nagoya?
Negative. Request back to Haneda.
It's a longer runway.
The captain wants to try to get back to Haneda. It's a large airport and ideally suited for a jumbo 747 in an emergency. But it's in the opposite direction.
If he can get it down. 123, can you descend?
But the black box shows that he doesn't descend. Without control of the aircraft, they can't. In the thin atmosphere at this altitude, the passengers are finding it difficult to breathe. People without oxygen masks may soon become unconscious. The situation worsens as some of the masks at the back of the plane run out of oxygen. It's been 5 minutes since the explosion, and a flight attendant is finally able to call the cockpit with news about what's happened to the plane.
Yes, what is it?
The flight attendant tells the engineer that the explosion has occurred in the rear of the plane and may have come from the baggage compartment.
Listen, right now the baggage compartment right at the back has collapsed. I think we better descend.
They need to get down quickly before the passengers become unconscious. But the captain seems to be struck by a strange paralysis.
All the passengers are using the mask. Shall we descend a little?
The captain does not reply. It's possible that by now he and his crew are suffering from hypoxia or lack of oxygen to the brain.
The R5 pet?
At this altitude, the oxygen in their blood starts to fall. First, their judgment may become impaired. Eventually, they may lose consciousness.
The R5 pet? Yes, I understand. Captain, the R5 mask have stopped!
At the R5 door, the situation is becoming critical. The oxygen supply has failed. The cabin crew have to give the passengers whiffs of oxygen from a gas bottle. Still, the captain and his crew seem to be drowning in confusion.
I think we better make an emergency descent. Yes. Shall we use our mask too? We better. I think we better use the oxygen mask. Yes.
But they don't put on their masks. No one knows why. It might be indecision or hypoxia beginning to cloud their judgment. At Japan Airlines in Tokyo, flight operations have been alerted to the emergency, but are as mystified as everyone else on the ground. All they know is that over 500 lives are at stake. It's their job to try to diagnose the problem and come up with a solution while the plane is in the air.
This is Japan Air Tokyo. Tokyo Control said they received an emergency call from you.
Listen, right now the R5 door has broken.
Roger. Is the captain returning to Tokyo?
What?
Can you return to Haneda?
Just a moment. We are making an emergency descent. We'll contact you again in a little while. Keep monitoring us, please.
Roger. R5 door. Could it have come off?
If the door has come off, that could mean an explosive decompression of the cabin as the air rushes out. Passengers may have been sucked out kilometers above the ground. But there's a worse possibility. If the door hit the tail of the aircraft, it could have damaged it. The tail keeps the plane stable. Its rudder and elevators make the plane go up and down or side to side. If the tail is damaged, flight operations will be powerless to assist them. In Tokyo, news that a Japan Airlines jumbo jet is in trouble has leaked almost immediately. Japanese television is already breaking into regular programming with live interviews. Someone saw the crippled jet fly overhead.
I knew the plane was in trouble, he is saying. It was swaying back and forth. Then it disappeared in a cloud.
Flight 123's meandering route has put it in range of an American Air Force base at Yokota on the northern outskirts of Tokyo. An American controller there has overheard the conversations between the plane and Tokyo Air Traffic Control. He wants to help to offer Yokota runway for landing.
Japan Air 123, Japan Air 123, Yokota approach. If you hear me, contact Yokota.
The pilots are preoccupied and don't respond. Since they've lost all normal control of the plane, they're now testing the throttles to see what happens. They can make the plane go faster or slower. At least they have speed at their command. As they experiment, they find that if they push the throttles forward when the plane is diving, making the engines go faster, it actually makes the plane come out of the dive and brings the nose up. And if they pull back the throttles when it's climbing, slowing the engines, the nose tips and begins to dive. These actions are the opposite of what a pilot would normally do, but it seems to work, and they begin to flatten out the mad roller coaster ride. Then a second experiment. By applying more thrust to the engines on the left side of the aircraft, they managed to slowly turn the plane right, in the general direction of Tokyo. But then their luck runs out. In the frantic juggling of throttles, the pilots get out of step. It drives the 747 into a frenzy.
Hold on. How about gear down? Gear down! Should put the gear down.
Lowering the landing gear should slow the plane down and make it more stable.
Doesn't work. Should I lower the alternate?
For safety, 747s employ an electrically run system, separate from the hydraulics, that can lower the landing gear in an emergency. While the engines are turning, they still have electric power. Lowering the landing gear helps stabilize the plane. The drag of the undercarriage has a dampening effect on the pitching motion. But it also destroys the directional control they were getting by applying more power to one side of the aircraft.
Max power.
Close to Mount Fuji, the tallest mountain in Japan, the plane makes an abrupt turn to the right and begins a terrifying dive. The plane is falling at 900 meters a minute, twice the normal rate of descent.
We're going down. Heavy. Is the wheel all the way? All the way. It's all the way. Not heavy. Hit the gear down. Gear's down.
There is no need for alarm.
The plane's black box records the flight attendant still trying to calm the passengers.
Japan Air 123, uncontrollable.
He's gonna hit the mountain.
Tokyo Control, this alien, sir, this is...
All station except the Japan Air 123. Keep silent until further advised.
Uncontrollable!
Understood. Do you wish to contact...
Stay with us, please. Stay with us.
Just as suddenly, the plane comes out of its dive. They've dropped over 3,000 meters. They're now in amongst towering mountains. But at least there's more oxygen at this altitude. The pilots have been fighting the plane for an intense 22 minutes since the explosion.
This may be hopeless. The hydraulic fluid is all gone. It's uncontrollable. Hey, my man, Matt! Hurry! Release the mountain! Let's power!
Applying maximum power in order to lift the nose is their only option. control the plane, they've allowed the speed to drop too much. To escape the mountain, they need maximum power to generate more speed and more lift.
Stick with it. Stick with it. It's pushed all the way. We're losing altitude. Go lower, no. It's lowering. We're going down.
The passengers grasp the seriousness of the situation. Many of them prepare for the end. But increasing power to avoid the mountains has caused the plane to resume its wayward up and down motions. Having run out of options, the crew is forced to repeat the same futile procedures over and over. They've been fighting the plane for nearly 30 minutes now.
Japan Air 123, Japan Air 123, Yokota.
The air traffic controllers, Japanese and American, are desperate to help, to give Flight 123 any information or reassurance they can.
Request radar vector to Haneda.
Roger, understood. Keep heading 090.
But frustratingly, the plane continues heading off to the northwest, away from both Haneda Airport and Yokota Air Base. Now, with every rise and fall of the plane, they're barely above the mountaintops.
Can you control the aircraft now?
An ominous silence descends on area control.
Japan Air 123, switch your radio frequency to 119.7. 119.7, please.
They try changing radio frequency.
If you can, change the frequency to 119.7.
There is no reply.
If you read come up on 119.7, we are all ready.
Japan Air 123. Yes, we've selected 119.7. What is our position?
Your position 4-5 miles northwest of Haneda.
In the tensions of the moment, the controller is a bit confused and mistakes the plane's distance from Haneda.
Northwest of Haneda.
How many miles?
Yes, that is correct. On our radar, you're 55 miles northwest. We are ready for your approach at any time. Yokota is also available for landing. Let us know your intentions. Over.
At Haneda Airport, emergency services are being mobilized for the plane, wherever it can touch down.
Yes, Roger. They say we're 25 miles west of Kumakaya.
Suddenly, the plane goes into a steep dive, the worst yet. The plane is falling at 5,500 meters a minute.
Right now.